All right, what's going on, people? What is popping? Welcome back to the Writer's Block podcast. I am your host, Marley. If you are new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. And I'm super excited to have you here, to be honest. It's been a while, and I know I say that a lot. We'll get into why I tend to say that a lot. By the way, if you hear my dog, she's sitting down here, humping my leg, to be honest, and I don't know why. But really excited to be here. Really excited to have you guys here. We're going to hop into this podcast episode right now. That's it. We're hopping right in. So this episode, man, is just really a recap, man. Like, where have I been? Where have you guys been? By the way, you can always drop a comment. I put these on YouTube, or I'm going to start putting these on YouTube. But I'm sorry. I'm distracted by... Get off of my leg. Off. I'm going to start putting these on YouTube because I think it's important. Definitely going to start putting them on Instagram too, in little clips and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that. But anyway, this episode brought to you by me. I cracked myself up. This episode, seriously, is just about my birthday. Not really just about my birthday, but it revolves around my birthday. The things that I've learned over the last year of my life. It's another trip around the sun, and I'm super, super grateful for that. I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to live a life this year, and so many people haven't. And I'm just grateful that I've gotten that opportunity. So. I just wanted to kind of go over some like wins, some losses, some things that I've learned. I hope that the things that I've learned, can kind of help you guys in your journey and your revolution around the sun. And if I can help anybody, it's a dope thing. It's a dope thing to be able to do. So a couple wins, man. I think the biggest thing is I got engaged, which is huge, right? My fiance, Tiffany, and I got engaged. I don't even know when, to be honest. I think it was sometime in March, maybe. But it was nice. I had bought the ring and stuff. Like I bought the ring, a while back, of course, and I couldn't quite figure out when I was going to give it to her. And one day, we were sitting in the room, and I think she was at her like little makeup. She was at her makeup thing, and I was just like, "Yo, would you marry me? Like, would you, blah blah blah." Like, I was joking, and she kind of was like, "Yeah, stop playing. Like, it's you're joking." Da 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 da. And I'm like, "No, seriously." And I'm on purpose. I'm actually like making it awkward and jokey. But of course I was serious. She just didn't know that. And she ended up saying, like, "You're joking, chill, whatever. And she kind of turns around, continues to put her makeup and stuff on. And so I had, by that point in time, gotten the ring from behind my back, got down on one knee and was like, "Nah, serious. And, it would make me happy if you'd be my wife, Tiffany." Down. So it was pretty cool. I feel like there's much more to it than that. But ADHD brain, I really don't remember a whole bunch. Not of that in particular, but just in general. It's kind of difficult sometimes to remember things. But I do remember the feeling. The feeling was great. And it was spot on for me because I'm kind of a spontaneous person. Even though, I'm sure to her it felt spontaneous, but to me it wasn't. Like, I've had a while to think about it. And I think I had purchased or started paying on the ring a year prior or so. So it had been a minute. It had been a grip. And, she, of course, said yes. So that was a huge thing. I think right after that, we went to like her mom's, and everybody was happy, and of course we're happy. So that was a big part of this year for me, and of this birth year. I'm not necessarily talking about 2024 or anything. I'm talking about the last year of my actual life. But yeah, it was a huge part of it. So definitely grateful for that, and wanted to catch you guys up on it. I'm sure you're caught up by now, to be honest. Like, if you follow me on social media, then you definitely know. Um, or maybe you don't. Like, the algorithm is crazy nowadays. It's like I follow people and then like don't necessarily see what they even talk about. So if you didn't know, now you know. Nigga. A little, biggie for you guys. But yeah, really excited about that. It's definitely one of the highlights of this year. The second highlight is just continuing mental health. You guys already know how I feel about mental health. I do feel like it's very important. And so to continue that journey is a very big deal for me. Again, and I will always say this, if you're not in any kind of therapy or anything like that, I suggest, of course, getting into it. And it's not just for, people who feel like they have issues, right? Like, I think, well, first of all, I think everybody's got their own issues. And that's what it's about. It's about, hopping in there and figuring out what your thing is and understanding yourself. And I think that was the thing that drew me to it, is just a deeper understanding. I am just that type of person. I always want to, know thyself. And so to jump into that and really get into the nitty gritty of who I am, why I am, and just kind of my I don't want to say pitfalls, but the things that can be to my detriment, like really understanding them and being able to kind of navigate those roads, kind of steer myself in the right direction in the times where habits are taking over or traumas are taking over. I think it's very important, and I think that because everybody experiences life that way, and we're not in a vacuum. I think that everybody should do it. I think that everybody should have their own journey. Can you stop? Hey, can you stop talking to my dog? Yeah, no, that's not a toy. It's not a toy. But anyway, yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that everyone should do it, and I am a big advocate of mental health. So that is definitely. Hey, stop barking. Hey, quiet. It's definitely something that I continue this year, and something that I'm really excited about continuing. Not only this year's over now, this birthday year, but not only last year, but going into my new birth year. I'm really excited to continue that. In fact, I got an appointment this week. Shout out to my therapist. Can't wait. The next thing. Oh, by the way, the engaged thing. Going back to that for a second. Really, really cool part of that was going to premarital counseling. I highly suggest it. The thing is with therapy, counseling, all that kind of stuff, like, you don't know what you don't know, and you can't really see yourself. So you need somebody outside of yourself to tell you about yourself, to show you the things that you may be doing wrong, or I don't want to say wrong, but the things that may not serve you in the way that you think they're serving you. Maladaptive behaviors and such. But yeah, premarital counseling, awesome. Really got to know Tiffany on a different level, I think, and vice versa. And not only that, but learning probably the biggest part of a relationship at all, and this is romantic or otherwise, which is communication, and learning to effectively communicate. It's not just you talking to a person, but it's you talking to them in a way that they understand you. It's like if you speak Spanish and I speak English, it's not enough for me to just say, hey, what's up? And then you look at me and be like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to be able to understand me too, right? So it's like bridging this gap, because to be honest, men and women, totally different, bro. Like, we speak, we understand completely different. We comprehend completely different. So it was a big deal, to say the least, and highly suggested. And that was only like a small part of the entire, journey through that. But I definitely recommend it, and you'll love it. I went to Oak Ridge for mine, so it was awesome. It was really cool, and I think it was really important to have someone who was an unbiased party, right? Like I could easily have gone to my church, but the people at my church know me, and they know me arguably more than they know Tiffany. So like to be in a place where the playing field was level was super important, and we were able to do that. So it went well, and I am really excited about that. Anybody thinking about getting married or anything, do it. Not the well, yeah, you should get married, but like I'm saying, like do the counseling too. Anyway, the other thing that was a huge win for me, of course, is and I'm only giving 3. Like there were other wins, but just the bigger wins in my life at this point to me. The other thing was Folk Festival, right? Maryland Folk Festival 2024 went down, and I was a part of it. I was on the local stage, got to do my thing, and in front of people, which is nerve-wracking and like really cool and all the stuff. So stop it, get off. And so I was excited to do that again. Last year I was able to do it, but wasn't able to do it. Like I was asked to do it, but the weather was inclement, so it got canceled. This year, though, we rocked out with our socks out, and I was really, really excited about it. I think we did a good job. There were, of course, some hiccups, but in true hiccup fashion, most of the people who were in the crowd didn't really realize, that things were going awry at the time. And I'm always grateful for that because, well, I don't want people to know what's going bad. So I don't think that people knew. I think it went over pretty well. And you can hear it right there, by the way. Look at that. For the people watching this jump, boom, there it is. Really, really, really a good time. And I can't wait for the next time, right? Like, and that's what it's about. Like experiences and just having fun. And so, it's a good part. Yeah. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who came out. A lot of people from my job came, friends, family, and just random people being there, So it was really cool. It was really cool. It's such a good time. And to be able to perform in front of people, like you kind of prepare all year and you don't necessarily know it. Now, I'm not saying I prepared all year because I didn't. But what I mean by that is generally, you end up making songs, making music, writing, which I did. I was able to do that. Oh, you know what? I got one more special win. One special win. But anyway, you end up writing, you do all this stuff throughout the entire year, and it's preparing you, it's getting you ready for the stage. And the stage part is like 1% probably of what you, all right, I'm gonna say 5% of what you actually do. The meat and potatoes is in all the writing and recording throughout the year, right? But the 5% of it, the release of it, is definitely in that moment where you can just get on stage and sing or rap, whatever it is that you do, and have people jam with you or have people come up to you afterwards and say, oh, you did a great job, or take pictures with you. And people brought their kids out, and that was really cool to be able to have them, like their kids that I know, so have them see me in a different light. And I imagine, one thing that's important to me is like making younger people realize that like you can do the things that you want to do, you know what I mean, in life. And so I always feel like, when kids are there, it's like my job, it's my opportunity to show them that, to show them that on any level you can do the things that you want to do. Whatever your dream is, you can do it. So I got to do that, and it was awesome. So Maryland Folk Festival 2024, definitely a win. And shout out to everybody, all the guys in the back line. That's Sam, that's Tyke, that's Russ. They always come through. Shout out to Salisbury University for putting the stage up. Shout out, or sponsoring the stage. Shout out to the Maryland Folk Festival, of course, the city of Salisbury for having me out. Shout out to KT for always thinking of me to do those things. I know he advocates for local music, local artists. So it's a lot of people that play different roles in that, and I love you all, and I appreciate you all. So it's a great time. You made a kid's dream come true, so mine, by the way. So yeah, thanks. The other thing, the surprise thing, this year I was able to be on a soundtrack for a feature film starring Morgan Freeman and Luke Hemsworth, which was awesome. Weird thing, not really weird, but the story behind it is kind of cool. I had actually written the song maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then maybe last year, I think it was last year, they hit me up. A guy named James had hit me up, was like, yo, this song right here. And he told me the title or whatever. He was like, you sent that, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, cool, because people want it for a movie. And I was like, oh, that's dope. And, like at the time, you hope for the best, but you kind of prepare for, or at least I do, I prepare for the worst. And it's like, I've heard things like this before where it's like, oh, this is the opportunity, but then it falls through. So it's like a calculated happiness or a calculated hopefulness for me. But long story short, it came through, and I ended up getting my first placement on a motion picture soundtrack. Now, like, the thing that I was shooting for was, to of course be in the film, to have the song play in the actual film. Would have been awesome. We didn't get that. However, I am so grateful and so excited to have had the opportunity to have that song in the soundtrack even. And it's amazing. Oh, sorry, I hit the mic. It's amazing. And, the movie was great, and all the people involved in that. Shout out to you. I'm not going to go through the names of those people because I don't know that they want, to be named, to be honest. But thank you. You know who you are. So thank you. That was probably not only the highlight of my year, one of the highlights of my year, but definitely a highlight of my career, of my life. And you guys made it happen. I made it happen. I'd like to thank me. I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank my fiance, all that. So really, really excited about those things. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Now with wins, of course, comes losses, right? Like, and I don't want to just glaze over them because they are important, right? Because they're going to lead to like what I learned, and hopefully what, you can learn from my year as well. But some losses for me. Number one, I think a big loss was my dog, right? And I had no idea that it would matter. Here's what I mean. It's a dog. He was a dog. And like, I didn't realize how tightly wound, or how intricately wound dogs become into your life, right? And it makes sense, right? Like, you take care of this dog. I took care of my dog from 8 weeks. So I've seen him grow, and I've been challenged by him and loved by him, and I loved him. And he was a seizure dog. I think it was January when we found out that he was a seizure dog. He had his first like bouts of seizures, and the vet ended up putting him on meds, and they helped until they didn't. He ended up having more seizures, and then we found out that, well, he had gained weight. So, the threshold that he was in for his seizure meds, he kind of fell out of because of that weight, unbeknownst to us. And so he started having seizures again. They upped his medicine. It worked for a little bit until it didn't. And then he had a lot of seizures. I mean, a lot of seizures in a short amount of time. And, the first time he kind of bounced back from it, and I was glad that he bounced back from that. But this last time, I think he had something like 25 seizures in like 48 hours, and he could not bounce back from that. And um, it was unfortunate, of course, right? You kind of think that you're gonna have a bunch of time with people and dogs and all that, and just life in general, and you don't all the time. And so it was a really, really, it was a sad time. And the point came where he was having a seizure and he was standing up, and I just remember him kind of dazed, and he went into another seizure. And as he went into it, he fell over, and like he ended up urinating all over himself. And at that point, I was just like, yeah, so we got to do something, just because he's losing dignity at that point. And I couldn't really stand to see him like that. So we went to the Humane Society and had him put to sleep. And, I miss him, of course. And that was definitely a big, big loss. I cried like crazy. And, you know, it's an adjustment, because I remember one day I walked in the house, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm gonna hear him bark, and of course he's not here, and so he didn't bark, right? But you walk in expecting that, because that's been the normal, and yeah, it just wasn't anymore. The normal got shaken up, and it got rearranged, and it's an adjustment. So, but we have Chloe still here, humping my leg. Well, she's not doing it now, but she's here. So, even her, like, navigating the kind of grief for her, it's so weird, because dogs grieve too. And yeah, seeing her go through that is kind of interesting and sad and all the stuff. But if you've lost a pet, I'm sure that you can relate. And if you haven't, well, I wish that you would never lose a pet. Of course, things don't last forever, so eventually you will. But I hope that it's not before the time. Like, my dog was 2 years old, not even two actually yet. So it was just really unfortunate. It was really sad, and definitely miss him. So yeah, love you, Denver, and I miss you. But the other loss this year, I think, for me, is just this idea of my lack of discipline, which is what I was talking about in the beginning, which is why I'm always like, yeah, guys, I'm back, and hopefully it sticks this time. I'm realizing that there's like this cycle of, discipline and habits and consistency. And I think in order to be successful, you have to have consistency. I think people need to, if it's a social thing, like if you're striving to have a platform, right? Like, people need to see you. So therefore your consistency needs to be social media, or it needs to be YouTube, or whatever it may be. If you are, someone who's trying to play guitar, consistency is practicing, right? Like, you need the consistency. But in order to get the consistency, you have to have habits. And in order to have the habits, you have to have discipline. And so to me, it comes down to that one thing, which is discipline. And I'm realizing that I don't have it generally. Now, I could easily say, hey, man, it's ADHD, which it probably, part of it is. But I think once you know something, once you become aware of something, it's up to you to kind of change it. And though ADHD may make it more difficult or more challenging, there are ways around it. And so it's my responsibility and my job to find ways around it. And if you're like me, if you're ADHD or not, if you're just someone who lacks discipline, a couple of the things, and I won't go too deep into it because I do have an episode that I'm going to talk about it, but one of the things is figuring out what you're spending your time on. Because I think that, being a good steward of that, good steward of your time, it just helps the discipline part, and the consistency part. So, and like I said, I'll go into depth of what I found in a later podcast. But But yeah, that cycle to me was a loss because there were a lot of things that I could have done, could have accomplished this year, that I didn't because of that. And so, um, yeah, that's definitely a loss. But all in all, man, you never really truly lose. You just learn, right? And so the things that I can take away from this year, the things that I have learned and will hopefully master at some point in time, are these. Number one, life is short, and I've said this in other podcasts, right? The podcast about my uncle, I said the same thing, but it's true. Life is very short, and I think that sometimes we as humans, we as a people, have a tendency to think that we have all the time in the world, and we just don't. It's just not what it is. So there has to be some sense of urgency in life and some zeal for it because like I said, you it doesn't last forever. So that's one thing that I learned. The other thing that I've learned is because of that, you have to appreciate and have gratitude for things. That pertains to my dog more so because there were things that there were things that I absolutely hated. Just like he would I would get ready to go to work and he would run and hide under the bed. Then I had to fish him from under the bed, and then I had to put him in his kennel. When I go to put him in his kennel, he puts his paws on the top of the kennel, like I don't want to go in, and it drove me crazy. So frustrating. But at this point, I would do pretty much anything to have him fighting to get in his kennel again. So appreciating those things, appreciating those times, while realizing, or because you realize that you won't have them all the time, I think that's important. And I think showing gratitude in those moments is important as well. Gratitude also for small beginnings. I am by no means a big artist. I am by no means a big podcaster, but I am so appreciative and so grateful for any fan that I have, anybody who comes up to take a picture, anybody who streams my music, anybody who streams a podcast, anybody who leaves comments on them. Those things, those humble beginnings, those are the tests, right? Those are the things that you have to be a good steward over in the beginning. And then, hopefully through consistency, through discipline, you get more. But the only way to do that, the only way to have more, I think, is to be grateful for what you do have. And lastly, hi, I know. Do you want to come up here? All right. So lastly, the thing that I've learned is, hi, okay, cool. The last thing that I've learned is documenting, making sure that you're taking pictures, video, doing a podcast if you want to do a podcast, whatever it is that you want to do to document your life and the people in your life and the things in your life. I think you should do it. I think you should do it and do it today. Because like I said, you don't know when, and this is not just death, but this is also bro, you got friends that move, you got, family that just, they get married and their life changes or whatever it is. But you have to appreciate the moments that you have, document them, and that way you have things to look back on. You know what I mean? You have things, keepsakes from all of those memories, and I think those things are very, very important now. So take more pictures, take more videos, and man, just live your life. Just live your life. So yeah, that's it for me. We'll be back here next time, I promise. And we're gonna do the thing. Again, my name is Marlee, and this is the Writer's Block podcast. I am really excited that you guys joined me and my dog here chilling. But we'll see you next time. Peace.